So SBS 115 is out along with volume 115. So we're going to cover the little bits of information that we got in this SBS. Not a lot this time, but there are some things I want to talk about, including one big thing. But first, the cover. The big takeaway from the cover is that along with being pretty sick, we have the color reveal for Ragnar. And Ragnar is blue and white. So I wasn't too far off in saying that it was Pikachu, because it turned out to be Pachirisu in the end, which is quite funny. But big shout out to author of the Library of Ohara and Pew Piece on Twitter, because I got all this information from them. So thank you both. So moving on with the SBS, we got the reveal of the homeland of the Longlegs tribe, because the reader asks, the country where the Long Arm live is called the Tenagina Kingdom, but surely there's also a country where the Longlegs live as well. Oda responds, the country of the Longlegs is called Ashashina Gaiwan Kingdom. I probably butchered that, but it is what it is. No, Ashashina Gaiwan is a pun on Asha Naiga no Ni, which means their legs are long. So yeah, we now know the homeland of the Long Arm and the Long Leg, which I didn't know the Long Arm Kingdom. That's crazy. Another question reveals the former kingdom of Ruskaina, the place where Luffy trained his haki on during the time skip. The reader says, we know that there once used to be a kingdom on Ruskaina, but I want to know what its name was. Oda responds, previously on Ruskaina was the kingdom of Otakaina. Forgive me again, I am butchering all these names because I am not a native Japanese speaker. Note, Ruskaina is a pun translating to anyone home, and Otakaina translates to I was home. That's a cool pun. So, anyone home? And then I was home because the kingdom of Otakaina was there at one point. Then we have a interesting inspiration reveal. Gloriosa was actually inspired by the actress Bridget Bardot. And the whole theme here is a beauty getting on in years. And we have a comparison shot here. So that's pretty interesting. And it's weird too, because usually in One Piece, when women age and become a bit haggard with age, they've usually led a very hard or evil life. So I wonder if that's true for Gloriosa, or is this just a big homage to Bridget Bardot and the rules of the One Piece world don't apply here? Perhaps so, perhaps so. We have a pretty obvious confirmation next that Polo Graham is indeed the father of Marco, making Marco's full name Polo Marco, a wordplay on Marco Polo. And it seems like, from what's being said here, that Polo Graham was the first mate or the captain of the first ship under Whitebeard before Marco took it over as he became of age. So that's pretty interesting. I wonder if we're going to find out more about Polo Graham in the future from Marco or anybody else. And I wonder if Polo Graham had the Berber fruit mythical type model Phoenix before Marco. I wonder, because with Ace getting his fruit inherited by Sabo, there's a bit of a theme there, especially when you consider like how Whitebeard got his fruit inherited or taken by a son of his captain and technically his surrogate son in Marshall D. Teach, otherwise known as Blackbeard. I wonder if that was the case between Marco and Graham. Something to think about. Okay, now we have all the ages of the Elbaf kids. Okay, so in this breakdown of all the giant children of the Warrior School, we have a little tidbit of their personality, their age in human years and in giant years, and whether or not they have a relative on Elbaf. So we have Corinne. She is 23 in human years, but 7 in giant years. She is socially awkward and she has a mother. We have Olav, whom is 19 in human years, but 6 in giant years, and he is the grandson of Oimon, and he hates pirates. We have Skadilli, who is 34 in human years, but 11 in giant years. And he is a bad boy and he has a mother. And then we have Ilva, whom is 21 in human years, but 7 in giant years. And she is the great great granddaughter of Jarl. And she has a mother. We also have Colin, the man of the hour, whom is 20 in human years, but 7 in giant years. And he is the son of the great pirate Scalper Gaban, and his mother is Ripley. And he admires the giant warrior pirates. We have Bjorn, whom is 33 in human years and 11 in giant years. He hates nerds, even though his brother, Rode, is a nerd. And yes, he is Bro's younger brother. And we also have an interesting tidbit about Rode here, which lets us in on some information about Loki. Because like Loki, Rode is 63 in human years. But in giant years, he is 21. So Loki is actually 21. Johanna, the girl with the horns, whom basically now, I guess, is the adoptive daughter of Ange, the language arts teacher and Saul's assistant, has no parents, but is 28 in human years and 9 in giant years. So we have Bent, who is 25 in human years and 8 in giant years, and he is scared of his mother. And then we have his mother here. She was probably one of the ones depicted as a nightmare creature by Killingham. We have Ranja, the cutie patootie, whom is 27 in human years and 9 in giant years. And of course, she has a father and a mother here. So that's cool. And she is the class president, which is also cool. I didn't know that, which is why she probably got that showcase in stepping out on that arrow way back when. And then we have Mag, whom is age 30 in human years, but is age 10 in giant years. He hates studying, and he too has a mother. So that's all the breakdowns of all the giant kids on Elbaf. Moving on, we have Zebek and a whole breakdown of his various stats. Nothing about the swordsmanship, which is a shame. But Rox D. Zebek, or Davy D. Zebek, does not like cheese or milk. He is actually 435 centimeters tall, which makes him approximately 14'3", which makes him taller than his son, Marshall D. Teach, otherwise known as Blackbeard, because Blackbeard is quite short in comparison, as he is only 11'3", which is kind of funny. And that translates into 344 centimeters. And Blackbeard currently is age 40, and in the pre-time skip, he was age 38. But at the time of God Valley, his father, Roxy Zebek, was 43, and he would be 81 in the current day if he had lived. And he is actually older than Whitebeard by 7 years, which is interesting. His favorite food is Yamanabe, which is dark hot pot, sheep Baruch Yaki, and particularly Bacardi rum. What's funny about Bacardi rum is that its label emblem in the real world is that of a bat, and we don't exactly know if Buckingham Stussy, a founding member of the Rocks Pirates, had the bat fruit at that time, or if it's just her clone Stussy who has the bat fruit. So I thought that was a very interesting tidbit. And penultimately, we have a size confirmation for Frankie's manhood. Frankie's manhood is 8 centimeters. Wow. 8 centimeters wide in girth. Okay. And we know who knows that the best. That's Robin, baby. She touched that thing. Anyway, now on to our final bit. And it's a big bit for the channel because I've talked about this extensively. So the question is, Oda Sensei, a question. Didn't Pell say only 5 flying devil fruits are known to exist? But we've seen way more than that. I don't get it. Please explain. Oda. So a lot of fans have certainly had a lot to say about this for a long while, But from my perspective, think about it. How could anyone know for certain everything about everyone around the world? Take, for example, there were several Tontata who could fly, but who would know about them? So yeah, the answer would be it's something Pearl heard about. So canonically, it's just something that Pearl heard about. But with that said, this line holds a special meaning for me. While I could come up with any number of flying abilities, I left this line to remind myself not to overdo it. You might also wonder, both culturally and scientifically, why they haven't developed airplanes despite having the technology for it. But it's because the world is built in a way that things are just barely stopped from evolving towards that direction. But why? Because this is a manga about pirates. Sea, boats. So we can't have the world where everyone just zooms around like that. That was the thought process when writing that line. So even going forward with the story, flying should be a rare thing. I'll commit to that stance. We have talked about this several times on the channel, and the funny thing about this statement that Pell says is that it's technically true now. Because if you just consider Zoan fruits as the flying abilities in question and not say like the float flow fruit, because the float flow fruit itself, and we've talked about this too, has a lot of language about it in One Piece film Strong World that makes it out to be specifically levitation and not flight, which is a very weird distinction, but that's the distinction. Whereas we are talking about Zoan Doa fruits, they oddly are named differently from every other type of doa fruit, in which you get a full taxonomy of the animal, the model type, and then whether or not it's mythical or ancient or what have you. So based on that breakdown, you could put a wide number of fruits into families based on how the fruit starts off with its name. So dog, bat, bird, etc. So, of the Zoan fruits that give you the base ability to fly, there are only 5 families that allow that. We have the horse family, in which the horse fruit mythical type model Pegasus resides in. We have the bird fruit family, on which fruits like the bird fruit mythical type model Phoenix resides in, and the bird fruit model Falcon resides in, which is Spell's fruit. Then we have the bug fruits, in which we have the bug fruit model Rhinoceros Beetle and the bug fruit model Hornet, belonging to Kabu and Bian of the Tontata tribe. Then we have the bat fruit, which is a weird one because it belongs to Stussy, specifically, as far as we know, the clone of the original Stussy, and a video game character from One Piece Unlimited World Red, Patrick Redfield. And this was made out to be a point in a previous SBS, specifically SBS 114, in which the bat fruit that is canonical, which is Stussy's fruit, has the same spelling as Patrick Redfield's fruit, which is the bat fruit mythical type model vampire. So I don't know if that means that he's canon, but that's something to point out. And then lastly, we have the dragon fruit family, of which we have King and Loki's fruit. King's fruit is, of course, the dragon fruit ancient type pterodon. And then we have the dragon fruit mythical type model Nidhogg, belonging to Loki. So in that way, there are 5 doa fruit families currently that give out flying as an ability. I'll just say that. That remains to be true. So if there are any more, then that entire theory is completely broken wide open. But if that remains the same, then that remains the same. And now I will say, in terms of abilities, if a user just found out how to fly, I wouldn't consider that the base ability of the fruit. That's just an inventive way of how that particular person is using their doa fruit. So guys like Buffalo, Baby 5, Luffy, Robin, even Sasaki, that is just creative application. That's not a base ability of the power in question. But with that being said, That brings an end to SBS 115. And if you are enjoying the video so far, click the like button. And if you want to see more from me, click the subscribe button, followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. And with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Waxy.